What should a 3-year-old horse be able to do? What is enough training and what is too much?
This massive sense of despair and being overwhelmed when I thought I might be causing my horses problems. But that's not the case anymore. Today I want to invite you into my world, where I'll share tips, show you how to set yourself up to success with your horse and to be a force for good horse care.
This video is for you who have a young horse and want to give them the best future possible. If you're feeling the weight of that responsibility and often find yourself doubting your skills like, am I good enough for this? Or will I be able to succeed? You're definitely not alone. It's totally normal to worrying about failing, especially when you have a horse and a dream. You know that dream, building a solid relationship with your horse, earning each other's trust and sharing amazing experiences together. But it can be scary, right? You might wonder if you have enough knowledge and skills to make that dream be a reality. Trust is something that has to be earned, and we all know that our horses, they learn best when they feel safe. So the big question is, can you make them feel secure as you tackle the tasks ahead? Today I want you to join me as I start working with Gråmann, who has just turned 4 years old. Last year, as a 3-year-old, he was broken in and started under saddle, and he even did some harness work. Then he got a break during a long Nordic dark winter, a nice mental vacation before we kick things up a notch this year. Now we're getting back to work and starting from scratch again. He's been kind of in a sleep mode and is super ready for new challenges, because life is like a game for this guy. If it's been a while since any horse has been ridden or driven, I always start from the ground. This helps me gradually get the horse back into work mode, and I can also observe its behavior and his movement patterns. Here you can see from the first session, we got the horse all set up. We're mainly working on repeating the commands and making sure they're still sticking. And then we're practicing with another horse to see if it can focus on me instead of the other horse. We want to make sure if it can work alongside another horse. Also, you'll notice I've attached 2 red soft poles on the horse to check if it's still cool with some noise and if it's still okay with something brushing against his sides and his legs. All this stuff is super important before we move on to some driving. And that way is less stressful and safer for both the horse and me as we ease back into training. This applies to all horses, whether they have been a break because of grazing in the summer, maybe an injury, or just because life happened to their owner. For us adult horse girls who have kids, there are times when things get so busy with the kids that I think it's better for the horse to take a break rather than to have me feel stressed when I'm training him. When I'm stressed, the connection suffers and the training ends up being pretty pointless. It's better to take some time off and focus on some quality bonding instead. So if you're anything like me and tend to overthink behaviors and their consequences, trying to set everything up for success so that it can get a bit overwhelming, then having a solid plan and some specific exercises to lean on is really helpful. I'm excited to share these exercises I use, and I hope they will inspire you to work with your own young horse. The first time I took him out after his break, he was actually so energetic and bouncy that I couldn't even film. He was jumping around and he was totally full of himself. I had my hands full just trying to lead him around. But now, here we're heading out for the 3rd time. The 2nd time you just saw. So come along and see what happens next. So for session number 3, we're taking it outside. We got the work harness on and we're practicing it being able to walk away from the herd of other horses and still check that he's paying attention to me instead of all the other stuff going on. It looks like it's going really well, and we're out here working in the dark. That's important because the horse needs to get used to training outdoors in the dark. We live in Norway and it's super dark for a big part of the winter, so it's kind of boring if we only trained in the indoor arena. But if the horse is used to working outside in the dark from the get-go, it's not scary. And we're used to it, so we just go with the nature and embrace the dark season. It's a way to prepare the horse for life, so it can be alone with you, but it can also be around other horses and you. It needs to be able to stand and stay alone in its stall, and it needs to be able to be left in the paddock without other horses, without that being a big deal. It's also important for the horse to get used to being handled in all kinds of conditions, light, dark, wind, rain, because sometimes you have to get things done, even when the weather is what we call bad. So in the third session, I'm using both soft poles, the red ones, and a long line. I've threaded a long line through the top of the harness. That way I can let it go if I need to. Because at the end of the long line, I've attached a yellow 25 liters container filled with a few small rocks. They make a lot of noise. The idea is for it to make noise and trail behind the horse, touch his rear end, legs, and I want to make sure that the horse knows that sudden noises coming from behind are not dangerous. So I'm trying to teach him if something's a little scary, it's a good idea to stop, and I will help him out of it. So it's not going to be a problem. So every time he stops and listens, instead of spooking and rushing away, he gets praise. This is exactly how I want a good harness horse to react to sudden noise from behind. Because you never know. Maybe sometime your cart kind of crashes into something that's making noise, or just even a frozen water puddle can make sudden noise. And if the horse is not trained and safe on those kind of sudden noises, that can be a problem. So this is preparing for life in safe environment at home. As you can see, I'm using no force and I'm trying to make sure it's no stress involved. Because the horse learns best if it's not stressed, and then the window of tolerance is open and we just gather experiences together. If you try to do like this with your horse, just make sure that you don't get the lines around your hands. The horse should be trained to have something touching the legs. As you can see, he doesn't care about that. But in case the horse will be scared and try to run off, you don't want to be stuck, like with the reins around your hand or the lunge line around your hand or anything like that. So make sure you have control of the ends of the reins. And as always, when you drive a horse, you should wear gloves. I hope you enjoyed our training session today, and thank you so much for watching. If you want to know more, why don't you just check out my new ebook? It's in the description below. Thank you.